and then there's other places where like people go, well, I saw a pterodactyl, right?
Yeah.
I would argue that that's potentially the same phenomenon.
Like wormhole phenomenon. Well, I think the wormhole phenomenon.
That somebody seeing
Yeah.
a pterodactyl flying over, if they're legitimately seeing it, they're seeing an image from the past the same way we're hearing footsteps from the past here.
So you guys can still see the heat in the chair where I was sitting there.
Yeah, we can probably see it in the sofa too. While we were
Let's
sitting.
check out the couch. Oh yeah, it's still there. For both of you. I wonder how long it takes for that to dissipate. Probably 15 minutes or 20 minutes or something. This house is quiet.
Very.
Yeah.
There have been other times I've been in here we couldn't have gone this long without hearing something.
I guess the old man's asleep tonight. Wake up, eh?
You got to figure if they were let like the Dominion Power guys sleep in here and all that if you had something that was intelligent, interactive, the old man's going, who are you? Get the hell out of my house.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that you moving?
I don't think I moved just then.
I didn't move.
Did you hear a slight knock?
No, I didn't hear it.
I'm not sure if I did, but we've got that DR05 right there, so I'll check it.
And you know what, too? If you think about it, if it's intelligent, it makes you wonder how they perceive.
I was reading something about.
Like a slight tap or something.
I just yeah.
That I heard.
Yeah, something up there now.
Calling in.
Oh yeah.
That was it.
Hey, this is Mike. We just heard that noise upstairs. Couple of thumps.
Copy that. They just sent a door out here. Could that be it?
It sounded like it was above us.
It could be. I mean, it sounded like it was in here above us, but it was kind of quiet and muffled. So, I mean, it could have been a door.
That does make you wonder, like, how do they perceive?
I was actually reading about this idea that where was I reading this? That there were I was watching a show on octopuses, and they have this ability to smell and taste with any cell on the exterior of their body, like anywhere, on their head, on their legs, on the
Octopuses.
on the butt. And they were saying that the octopus is maybe sort of the beginnings of a suggestion about how a creature would adapt to the world without one of the major five senses that we base everything on. And so the idea might be that there's some kind of sixth sense or seventh sense that maybe humans are not able to register, but that I mean, there's no reason the universe has to be limited to our five senses. We already know we can't see ultraviolet. We already know we can't.
See infrared. Yeah, but I was just thinking too, if they're pure energy, maybe they feel changes in energy or sense changes.
But do you think they realize their energy? That's what I mean.
I mean, if
How
they're
do you think they
conscious.
perceive themselves?
Well, I mean, the whole thing about consciousness, right? Like, is consciousness just because we have neurons in a fully functional brain, or is there consciousness outside of brain that can exist in some kind of energetic form. The soul, if you will, how does that work? What is it? You know.
Wasn't it Rick that sent the story about the guy who died in the brainwaves? And the doctor at the end said that he's not convinced that people are really dead when we're pronouncing them dead.
Well, I mean,
Not in the sense that they could be revived, but there's still energy transmissions and exchanges taking place.
yeah, I mean, but at some point, whatever that is leaves the body, right? That's the whole idea. If there are such things as ghosts, that they're, you know, free-floating spirits, or
Yeah, but do you think that you
Can
can
they
become a
just-
ghost? Suddenly you're like, hey, I'm a free floating spirit, or do you perceive yourself as you perceive yourself now?
well, I think that's why those things appear to be non-interactive, because like they may not be aware of us and may just be going about their routine
That's
and
not
not perceive us, but that's not necessarily residual, it's just they're simply non-interactive. That's my point, it's like a lot of activity may be quote non-interactive, but we don't know the cause, like why it's not.
to this day, I'm still not.
When you say residual, that's implying like a cause, right?
I'm-
There's a theory behind why.
No, residual doesn't, at least in my mind, doesn't imply a cause. I guess you could, just the word, yeah, I guess, but it doesn't. I just, I don't view those as the spirits of anything,
Yeah.
is what I guess what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think if we wanted to be more scientific, we'd say interactive and non-interactive. Because non-interactive could be residual, or it could be a wormhole thing, or it could
Well,
be
and that's, I think, completely accurate. I think you're
some other phenomenon we haven't figured out yet.
And interactive doesn't necessarily imply that they have consciousness, like you're asking about.
Wouldn't interactive require
Well,
consciousness?
No, because like if I put my hand in a jar of water and stir my finger around, the water creates sounds, the water changes, there are sediments that get mixed in and it changes color.
Okay, but if I knock twice and something, if there's some sort of like, I say A and then you say B,
I mean,
that's
I
consciousness.
think you could say it's interactive.
If I answer your question
Well,
on like an EVP, that's consciousness.
well, the question is, it's stimulus response. How much consciousness do you need to have for stimulus response?
Yeah, and I guess I'm overthinking the definition of consciousness too much and thinking that it means something spiritual as opposed to just meaning you're sentient, that you're alive somehow.
Because the water is I would say is reactive. It's responding to stimuli.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say, is there anyone here with us tonight? And you get yes, then that's interactive.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue, yes, that's interactive. I mean, interactive is really about how we perceive it, right? So, I mean, you could be walking down the hall and then something bangs behind you to get you to turn around. Is that interactive? Or does it just appear interactive?
I would say that the jury's out.
Yeah, but but I would still classify that as something. I mean, if it tried to get your attention and it got your attention, then it interacted with you, even if it didn't mean to. It was.
You guys are
It was
still
sitting.
growing strong on the couch.
Yeah,
It must take a while for that to go away.
but like if you had that wormhole theory, right? Like suppose you can see through to some other point in time. What if they could reach through and poke at you? It doesn't necessarily prove that's a ghost, but it's still interactive, right? Like it's still, and there's still intelligence behind it. Like, hey, what's this?
So,
Okay.
so I know like some philosopher at my school would argue that consciousness involves self-awareness. And so one of the things I always wonder about is, I knock twice, something else knocks twice. That seems definitely interactive, and maybe if somebody answers me directly a question I'm asking, that seems like consciousness. But this whole idea of self-awareness, do they love, do they hate, do they do anything except what we're,
Well,
Now we're getting
by
way
that,
out.
by that
philosophical,
definition,
yeah.
a dog is conscious,
definitely,
but the dog may not be intelligent. The dog's not going to reason like a human.
they have antidepressants for dogs now.
Yeah, the dog's not going to reason though like a human.
Right,
It's gonna reason like
The dog's not going to sit there on the couch and go, "I think, therefore I am."
but by the way, the octopuses do apparently. Saw the show and I was absolutely flabbergasted
That's
because
how intelligent they are.
yes,
The British government just declared them sentient.
octopuses?
Can you believe that?
No, I didn't know
Kid
that.
you not.
Wow.
The British, it was, I don't, it was, they were trying to say, they were saying, it came out of Britain.
I mean,
they
I
were
like
saying
it.
octopi are sentient,
I
which
didn't
I thought
know
was
that.
a bit of a stretch. But,
I like calamari too, so this is a problem for me.
Well, that's-
Calamari squid.
they're,
So you can still eat
they're
squid.
cephalopods.
But your question is
Squids aren't nearly as smart as octopus.
an
It's
important one
Have long
because
wavelength.
if they are conscious in the sense that I understand that term, then that means that we have some sort of other connection with them than just the fact that I knock twice and they knock twice, or I ask a question and they answer it. And I was not completely effing around when I said years ago, what's going to be next? A ghost Bill of Rights, we can't, but we criticize people who interrogate and intentionally agitate and intentionally create.
Well, I think for me, it's not just respect for the ghost; it's also respect for the historical nature of the property too. And along with not wanting to poke the bear and stir up some kind
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that
of presence that shouldn't be there.
I bifurcate in my own mind that which is scientific and that which would be construed as metaphysical. And I believe in the scientific and I believe in the metaphysical, but we don't practice the metaphysical. So I put that in a box and stay away from it. But that doesn't mean that the metaphysical isn't valid.
Well, the metaphysical could show up in a scientific
I
study.
mean,
Like there's some physical property to it.
We've all been doing stuff in this group long enough to say that there's an aspect of this that would qualify as the metaphysical and
And
mystical, the spiritual, that,
Well, otherwise,
scientifically leaves us scratching our heads.
what's the difference between normal and paranormal, right? Like paranormal means all that stuff. I mean, if we didn't think there was something to the paranormal, we wouldn't be here doing it. But we're trying to correlate, I guess, paranormal with normal reality.
And to be honest with you, Alan, I don't know how long I've done this, 10 or 12, I don't know how many years now. The metaphysical keeps getting out of its box.
Oh, constantly. It
and-
constantly gets out of its box.
And I am having trouble designing new experiments, and I'm having trouble, talking. The temperature change thing was easy. That's just about instruments and what they read. But the longer I do this, the more the metaphysical will not stay in the box.
The metaphysical, I think, is one of those things that you have to take into account. The lore, the metaphysical, all of that stuff, you have to take it into account. But at the same time, if you're a good scientist, you can't be like all these other groups out there and declare it fact.
Yeah.
This is dead Uncle Fred. This is a demon. It might be a demon, but scientifically, I can't tell you it's a demon.
And the sin there, if I can borrow that word, is both scientific and metaphysical. It's a double sin. Because first of all, people's religious beliefs should be sacred and should be honored. And so when you say something like that, you're really messing with people's belief systems if you're not careful. And then the second thing is, it's a disservice to science. So to me, those groups are like, it's a double sin.
But where I think this whole thing goes, the paranormal field, where a lot of groups go astray, is they put everything into the metaphysical.
Yeah.
Well, I think where they go astray is they just make up a lot of bullshit. Just start throwing crap out there.
But
It's like, it has no basis in it.
in my opinion, though, that goes right there with putting everything under the metaphysical. Because in doing that, they're making up a bunch of stuff.
But yeah, but that's not the same as metaphysical. Like made up, it's just imagination. It's not the same. I mean, now I know there's like we've done about the Philip thing where you can actually invent something into existence somehow according to that theory, but that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to find something that's already there. I mean, I would think, unless they're just interested in making something happen because they're bored.
There is sort of that
Speaking of
entertainment
spirits.
element for some of these groups. It's like they just want to get a thrill or an adrenaline rush or
Yeah.
get attention or
Well, that's where you like go into the bathroom, turn off the lights, and stare in the mirror and shout something.
But okay, but let's look at it in terms of like that. In terms of conjuring, you know, let's say that you really are. I mean, why do we say don't play with Ouija boards? I think you don't play with Ouija boards because you were poking the metaphysical bear.
Because
I can't say that scientifically. As a scientist, I would say play with Ouija boards all you want because
it's just a
It's
board,
just
with
a
a plastic marker,
right?
But
but
I know people who mess with it and shit's happened.
right. So that's where I think you have a great example of the metaphysical keeps jumping out of the box. You know, I wouldn't let a Ouija board in my house.
No way.
But I
man.
consider myself a reasoned person. I consider myself, if not a scientist, at least some semblance of, educated in the social sciences. I'm a rational person.
So you guys will appreciate this. We were watching Paranormal Activity, and it's like 20 years old, but we'd never seen the movie before.
Oh, it freaks out.
The original was pretty freaky.
And so we were watching it, and I was like, oh, he's just doing EVPs. He's just, hey, a door closed on its own. But then he brings on the Ouija board.